So, who did the near pod yesterday?
There was a near pod yesterday?
Yeah,
Yes.
Did we do it in class?
Yes.
Who did the
Then
near
I think
pod?
I did it.
Okay. So, most of you should have filled out the note sheet from yesterday. I was just filling the blank. That's what's going to be on your quiz tomorrow. But today, you guys are going to get some practice actually writing the stuff for your quiz tomorrow. And I'm going to go through all this with you. But first, just like a little recap, does anyone remember what the 3 orbital blocks are called? Yes.
SP and D.
Yes. SP and D. So who knows where the first block is? S.
It's the first 2 periods. Or families.
Families, right. So starting with H, I'm just going to outline it. So these first 2 columns right here, and also
I think she's talking
helium.
about this.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is S.
I always forget helium.
Right? So S is these first 2 columns on the periodic table. So the one on the very far right, what is this block called?
Noble gases.
No, but the orbital block.
D.
Oh,
letter.
oh, P.
P, right. So I'm going to outline this in blue. So starting at boron, going all the way to the noble gases, this rectangle right here, this is all the P block. And then what's the block in the middle?
Middle.
A D.
Yes, D block. So starting at SC, ending at zinc, all the way in between, all these transition metals, that's all the D block.
Are we supposed to be writing this?
No, but just remember this for your quiz tomorrow. Your notes should have like a little picture of this in it, just showing you. Just keep in mind, left is S, the right is P, middle is D. I like to think D for dip. You know that area kind of dips? That's how it helps me remember it. Okay, so these 3 orbitals you're going to have to know for orbital diagrams and also the configuration. So here is the worksheet you have. I added some stuff to it. Okay, so I have a periodic table on every single problem. So just to remind you, I'm going to redraw these orbital blocks. So what is this yellow right here?
S.
Right, this is S. Let me pick a different color. Okay, so what is this right here? D for dip.
Love that.
And then last color, let me just do green. So this right here, what is this called? P, right. And also remember that helium up here is also part of the S block. All right, so those are the 3 blocks we have. Okay, so when we're doing an orbital diagram, that's what, these lines right here are. Each line is going to represent an orbital. So each orbital can hold 2 electrons in it. So 1s, that 1 represents the energy level. And also I'm going to use my laser here. So energy level is the same as period, which is the same as a row. So every row is an energy level. So energy level 1, energy level 2, energy level 3. So when I say 1s, I mean energy level 1 and then S block. That's what that means. When I say 2s, I mean energy level 2, S block.
So if you said energy level 1,
Mm-hmm.
P block would be over there.
Yeah, this would be 2p, because energy level 2, right? But it's the P block. But do you remember what's special about the D block?
Absolutely not.
It's 1 energy level lower. Yeah. So this is the 4th row, 4th energy level. So this would be 4s right here. But D's 1 lower, so this would be 3D right here. But we're going to get some practice writing this, so you'll remember that. And then what would this be called here? 4 what? 4p. Okay? So an orbital diagram is just kind of showing you, like, physically how the electrons are arranged in each orbital. So every square on the periodic table represents an electron. So what is the first element that we want? Like, what is number 1? Lithium, right? What number is that on here? Number 3, right? So how many electrons does it have?
3.
3. So I start at hydrogen. We can say hydrogen's our house. We have to drive to our friend lithium. So 1, 2, 3. 3 electrons. So I'm going to have to show 3 electrons on this orbital diagram. And each arrow that I draw represents an electron. So if you remember, each orbital holds 2 electrons. So each line's going to have 2 arrows. And one has to be spinning up, one has to be spinning down.
Oh.
So H and HE are both full because I'm going past them. So I'm going to draw 1 arrow going up and 1 S. And I draw 1 arrow going down and 1 S. So that orbital is full. So then now I'm going down the street to energy level 2. And I want to go to lithium's house, right? So I'm stopping right here. So I only have 1 electron in this S block, this 2S block. So I only draw 1 arrow.
I thought there were 3.
Yeah, 3 total, right? If you look up here, I have 3 total arrows, right? But I have to stop here. Because if I add a second arrow in my 2S, that would be beryllium. So I'm just stopping here because it's in position 1.
Because it said it wants to.
Yeah, because I can have 2 max, but I stop here because this is house number 1, right? In this block.
Oh,
Beryllium's house number 2.
So if you pass it, you do an up arrow and a down arrow.
Yeah, well, we start with up arrows, and then when we add a second one, we're going to do the second one down. Yes.
Are we always going to start with 1S?
Yes.
Okay.
So hydrogen's our house. So think of every element you're going to as your friend's house. This is where you live. You always have to start here. So it's, a long journey because you live all the way up here and your friends are all the way over here. So you have to, describe how far you're going, every single house you're passing. Okay, so that's the orbital diagram, just those arrows. Electron configuration, we're just going to take this 1s and this 2s, and we're going to write it down here. So the arrows are like we drew a picture of our car ride, and now we're actually going to write a story about it. So I'm going to start with my first orbital, which is 1s. So 1 for the first row, the first energy level, S for the orbital block. And then how many arrows are in 1s?
2.
2. So I write an exponent, 2. That means I have 2 electrons in there.
She got 2.
Yeah, it's 2 because hydrogen and helium, I'm going past them. So 1, 2, right? And then what's this orbital? So this is energy level 2. What is this block? S, right? So I write 2s. How many arrows are in 2s?
1.
Just 1. So I only have 1 electron up there. So for noble gas configuration, this one's pretty short, so it's not going to be super helpful. But to do this, so I'm at lithium, right? And let's say I spent the night at helium's house. So I live here, but I spent the night at helium's house. So now where I'm actually starting is right here, right? So I'm going to put HE in brackets to show that I'm at helium's house. That's where I'm starting. And then now I have to go to energy level 2. So now I'm at 2s. So I'm a lot closer to lithium than I was before. So now it's just 2s. And then how many electrons are in 2s? Just 1. Okay, so to count valence electrons, you're going to look at your electron configuration and you're going to find the highest energy level. So the highest number. So is that 1 or 2? 2. So I'm going to look right here. So that's my highest energy level. So 2s. How many electrons are in there?
2.
1.
And 2s. Just 1. So I only have 1 valence electron. And when you're taking your quiz tomorrow, you can double check your work. Because lithium's an alkali metal, right? How many valence electrons do alkali metals have? 1. So that's how you double check your work. Like this is group 1A. 1A has 1 valence electron. I got 1 valence electron.
And then 3 has 3 valence.
Yeah.
It just goes on.
Yeah, it goes all the way up to 8. So that's how you double check, that you're doing it right. All right. Aluminum, a little bit farther away.
Oh.
I understand like the configuration and then like down on the bottom because you can base that off. I just don't understand the arrows.
Arrows? We'll do aluminum now.
Okay.
Okay, where's aluminum? What number? 13. So how many electrons total is it going to have? 13. So we're going to have to jump 13 squares to get there. So we're going to pass 13 different houses to get to where we want to go. So 1s, that's our line, these two houses we're passing. So how many electrons are in these two houses? 2. So I'm going to draw 2 arrows. So my first one always has to go up, and then my second one's going to go down. Because each square we pass has an electron. So I'm passing hydrogen and I'm passing helium. 1, 2.
Wait, so for every electron we pass, we get 1 arrow.
Yes.
So we draw 13 arrows.
Mhm.
So you literally just look at the number and that's the number of arrows you draw.
Yeah, that's how many electrons you have.
So do we draw all 13?
Yes, but 2s, the thing is when you take your quiz, you're not going to have the lines. Like you're going to have to write the lines yourself. So it's better if you go step by step. Because then if you're like, oh, I have 13 arrows, you don't know like which orbital is which. So it's better if you go in order, right? So now we're in 2s. How many electrons are here?
2.
One in each one, right? So just 2. So how many arrows?
2.
2. One going up, one going down. So now I hop over down the street, and I'm in the P block. So how many houses are there right here?
6.
6. So how many electrons are there?
6.
6. 1 electron for every house.
So.
Yeah. So when
I get it now.
when you have a section like P and D, and they have more than one line with them, you have to start by filling them all with 1.
7.
So you have to share, and then you can double up.
Well, why are some one like the one above? You drew 1 arrow and then like 2 on that. Why don't you draw 1?
What do you
It's
mean,
only
2s?
one electron.
Like 2s up
yeah,
I
there?
guess I didn't know
There's only 1 left.
Oh, okay.
Like when we get to P, it's not going to be completely full because that's
It'll
where we're
only
stopping.
be 1 up.
Okay, so next row is 3, 3s. How many electrons are
2.
here? 2. So 1 arrow up,
Okay, this makes
1
sense.
arrow down. Right, so I'm going to hop down the street. Where are we trying to go? Aluminum, right?
Yeah.
So there's 6 houses here, but which one do I want? Just the first one, right? So I'm only going to have 1 arrow here because I'm already where I need to go. So just 1 arrow going up.
So where are the extra spaces for?
We don't need that
They
one.
just stay empty.
So the 1s, that's just
Yeah,
the
so
section it is.
each orbital holds 2. So I have 6 here, so I'm going to have 3
So you
lines.
can only put 2 arrows in each.
Yes. But that's just like a placeholder if I had more electrons, and I don't. So I only fill 1 of them. Alright, so electron configuration. We have to start back at our house, hydrogen. And this is energy level 1. So I write 1. What orbital block is this?
S.
S. How many electrons do I have?
2.
2. What's the next energy level? 2. What is this orbital? S. How many electrons?
2.
Right, so I hop over down the street. I'm at 2p. And how many electrons are in there? 6. So now I'm going to the next street down.
I think I did this right.
I'm at 3s. How many electrons? 2. So I'm driving down the street. I'm at 3p. And how many electrons? 1. Because I'm stopping at aluminum, the first
Yeah,
house.
That makes sense.
Okay, so this one's a little longer, so noble gas configuration makes more sense. So noble gas configuration, we want to go to the closest noble gas, but it has to be one that we've passed already. So like we're gonna go to to our closest friend's house, which happens to be one of these. Yeah, it has to be neon because we're not at Argon's house yet. We're down here still. So now we're gonna spend the night at Neon's house. So I'm gonna put it in brackets. Neon. You can think of it as like a little house. So that's where I'm starting. So instead of starting at my house, I spent the night here. So then now I'm going to start driving down energy level 3. So that's 3s, 2. And then now I'm driving down the street. Now I'm at 3p. And then it's the first house there. So 3p1.
So how do you know when to stop?
When you get to the element that you need. You'll always have an element that you're going to.
Oh, so you just go back to the closest one and then
Yeah.
you count from
Mhm.
there to.
Yeah, so you can either start from your house or you can start, from like your friend's house.
And you go to the closest noble gas.
How do I know what my friend's house is?
It's always going to be in the noble
For me
gas,
on back to
this last column. Yeah, these are your best friends, right?
So
You're
why
always
did you
going to
do- why
start
did you
here.
do neon? I don't know.
Because it's the closest.
Right.
Yeah.
This was what
We
had.
can't do argon because we're not there yet.
That's the closest noble
So I'd be like,
gas.
oh, like Neon's house is last street over. I already passed it. I'll go back here. Okay, so to count valence electrons, you want to look at highest energy level, right? What's the highest energy level?
3s2,
3, right? So 3s2 and what else?
3p1.
3p1. These are both energy level 3. You're right.
And then you count from
So
there
how
back
many
to
electrons in
here. And
S?
that's your noble gas.
2,
2. And how many in P?
1.
So I'm going to add them together. So I have 3 valence electrons.
Wait, why are you adding
Because they're the highest. They both have 3. They're the highest energy level.
Yeah. Because I have S and P now. So I
You base
add them
that off
together.
the noble gas configuration.
And then if you think about it, boron family
Just add the
has how many valence electrons?
one of the two from the noble gas.
Group 3A has 3 valence electrons. That's how I know I did it right.
Oh, true.
All right. So nickel. Where's nickel now?
28.
28. Right? So how many arrows total am I going to have?
28.
28. So I'm going to have a lot of arrows because nickel lives really far away. So I'm starting at home. I'm starting at hydrogen. How many arrows am I going to have in 1s? 2. And then how many in 2s?
2.
Right? 1 up, 1 down. How many in 2p? Starting with boron?
6.
6, right. So I'm going to do 3 up, and then I'm going to do 3 down. And then now we're on energy level 3. 3s has how many?
2.
Yeah, 1 up, 1 down. Then I hop on down. How many in 3p?
6.
6. So 3 up, and then 3 down. All right, so now I'm on 4s. How many electrons in there?
2.
2, right. Okay, so now remember that D is always one lower. So not 4D, it's 3D, right? So nickel is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. House number 8. So how many electrons?
8.
8. So I'm going to start by giving every orbital 1. So I'm going to do 5 going up. So now I'm at 5. I'm going to do 3 going down. So 6, 7, 8. So those last 2 d orbitals only have 1. But I had to share first. So if you count, there should be, 28 arrows. Okay, so electron configuration. I'm starting at home again. This is going to be pretty long. So I'm starting at 1s. That has 2. I'm moving down to 2s. That has 2. I'm crossing over to 2p. That's full, so it has 6. Now I'm going down the street to 3. So 3s has 2. 3p has 6. 4s has 2. And then how many does 3d have?
8.
So I do 3d and then 8. Alright, so we're going to do the shortcut. We're going to do noble gas.
Isn't it like AR and then 4S2 and then 4D7?
Yeah, so where's our closest noble gas?
Argon.
Argon, right? We've already passed it, so we're going to go spend the night at Argon's house. So I put argon in brackets, AR. So now we're going to go down to the next street, which is 4. So I do 4s2.
And then 4D7.
Remember, it goes down 1, right?
3d7.
3D, what house is this?
But that's 4.
8.
Wait,
8.
where?
Remember,
It's
D's
one
always
level
one
Friend's
lower.
house is always the row above.
Yes. So remember your D orbitals are always 1 lower than S. So it's going to be 3d8. Alright, so what's the highest energy level?
4.
4. Right? So we're not going to look at D because it's only 3. So how many valence electrons? 2.
Why is it?
I got it. I just don't understand the middle part.
Because we're looking only at 4, right? And D is 3.
No, I don't understand how
D's too low.
that is
So I'm only gonna
lower
look here.
than that if it's in the same row.
It's lower because it starts off with 1.
Okay, let's do the last
And
one
it's
now.
just, like, it's not a single
Alright, where's bromine?
35.
35, right? It's this blue one right here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have 35 arrows when I'm
That's too
done.
much work. That's a lot of arrows.
Alright, so 1s. How many am I gonna have in there?
2.
Yeah, one going up, one going down. How many in 2s?
2.
One going up, one going down. What about 2p?
6.
6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many in 3s?
2.
2. So one going up, one going down. How many in 3p?
6.
One going up, one going up, one going up, 3 going down. And then 4s, how many in there?
2.
2. So one going up, one going down. So 3D now is full.
Is it 35?
Wait, how did you?
So I'm bromine's all the way here, right? So that means the 3D is going to be full. So how many electrons are in there now?
8. 12.
Well, what's 2 more than 8?
10.
10. Yeah. So D can hold a max of 10, and it's completely full. So I'm going to fill it up with 10 electrons. So I do 5 going up, and then I do 5 going down. Braxton, you know how when we skip over P, it has 6? We just skipped over D, so now we have all 10 of these because we're trying to get over here.
Skip D. What do you mean skip D?
Like we drove over all these houses.
Yeah.
So it's
So
gonna
we
have
only count
10.
The ones that are past the metals.
What? How do you
How
want?
many does it have again?
The inside.
We're gonna have 35 total.
Skip what?
Well, we're not skipping. We're like driving past these houses. So D's gonna have, yeah, we fill it all up because we passed all of them. So now we're focusing on the P block. So what energy level is this?
4.
4. So 4P, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many electrons am I gonna have? 5.
Oh, you started
Literally,
from GA.
all you have to do
started from
is
GA.
Yes.
whatever number the blue
So
number
1,
is, that's how many
2,
arrows you
3,
put, and then you just copy this down,
and then
and then
2
you go to
going
the
down.
closest noble gas. It's not hard.
All right, so
Sounds
let's
confusing.
write this out now. So I'm gonna start. You always start at 1s, and I have 2 in there, and then I move down to 2s. I have 2 in there. Going to 2p, that's full, so I have 6. 3s, that's full, so I have 2. 3p is also full, so I have 6. 4s is full, so I have 2. And then 3d is full too, so I'm gonna have 10 in there. And then my last section is 4p, and how many do I have in there? 5. Right, so this one's super long,
It's 35.
so let's shorten it. What's the closest noble gas to bromine?
Argon.
Argon, right? So we're gonna spend the night at Argon's house. I'm gonna put it in brackets. AR.
Because that's not a noble gas.
Alright.
Because you haven't got there yet.
So Argon,
This way. You haven't got there yet.
let's go down the street to energy level 4.
That's next. You have to go to the closest one that you already been to.
So 4s2, and then
It doesn't go like
3d10.
that, it goes
Like the numbers you get, I don't get that.
Do you mean the exponents?
Yeah.
backwards.
It's because we're counting every single. So S only has 2. D 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm starting P right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, the right side is P and then the left
This
side
is
Yes.
like easy, but the way
Okay, so
it's
what's the last
five,
section?
it's confusing.
4P what?
5.
5.
And S is the first 2 columns as well? Or
Yes.
3 column?
This is S.
Okay.
Okay. What's the highest energy level here?
4.
4. So I'm going to look at 4S and I look at 4P. So how many does S have?
2.
2. How many does P have? 5. So 2 plus 5 is what? 7. You know your math. Okay.
Oh, so if they're the same,
7 valence
then you
electrons.
add them together?
Yeah.
Like, combine my terms?
Same energy level, you add them.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're almost done.
How do you choose which ones to go on the noble gas?
So
Whatever's in front of Argon that you already went.
yes. So I'm starting at argon.
And you go down.
Yeah. So this is what I'm going to start writing here.
Because it goes through for the D section too. And
Yeah.
since it's a 3 because it's lower, then yeah.
Yeah, if you look up here, So argon covers everything through the third energy level. So it's like I'm chopping it off right here. And so all I have to write is what's here. Because argon is basically implying everything to the left of the slash.
Is K through. Oh wait, never mind. I was looking at that. I understand.
Okay, we have one more thing that's going to be on your quiz, but it's a lot easier than this. But this is called Lewis dot structures. And you just need to know how to draw this. So you can write it on the right side of every problem if you have space. Okay. Okay, Lewis dot structures. So this is just to represent how many valence electrons are in an atom. So to do this, you're going to take the symbol for the element. So number 1 was lithium. What's the symbol for lithium? Li. So I write Li. How many valence electrons are in lithium?
One.
Just 1. So I'm going to start, that's why I put a clock. I'm going to start at 12 o'clock. I'm going to put a dot for my 1 valence electron. So each dot is an electron. So it looks kind of sad because I only have 1 electron. But let's go to number 2. What element is this? Aluminum. So what's that symbol? Al. How many valence electrons?
3,
So where do I start?
12,
12 o'clock. And then I'm going to go clockwise. So is that left or right?
Right.
Right. So 1, 2, 3. So I go clockwise. I go to the right. And so what you're going to do is you're going to put an electron on every side. So you have all 4 dots, and then you start doubling them up.
Electrons is rows, right?
How do they figure out it was aluminum?
Like left to right.
What do you mean, left to right?
Never mind.
Like, aluminum.
Never mind.
All right, so what do you think the maximum number of dots you can have is?
12.
18.
8. You remember the octet rule?
Oh yeah.
So atoms want 8 electrons, and then they're happy, right?
I thought 10 was cool.
8, octet rule. Okay, what's the next element? Nickel, what's that symbol? Ni. How many valence electrons?
2
Yeah, so where am I putting my first one?
on the top,
Top,
and then to the right.
and then to the right. Okay, so that last one, bromine, will really show you, how to do it. Okay, so last one, what's the symbol for bromine?
ER.
Br. How many valence electrons?
7.
So where do I start?
Top.
Top, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want 1 dot on every side, and then I go back around.
In the middle.
Yeah, so then I go 5, 6, 7.
Oh, wait, we've done this
Oh.
before.
Have you? Did you do this in middle school?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what middle school y'all went to.
All right. So bromine has 7, right? So if I had 1 more, it would be full, and that would be a noble gas. Yeah. Wait, so just
Chemistry?
one more little thing.
How much mine?
How many valence electrons does lithium have?
What? Sorry.
1. And how many does bromine have? 7. So if I combined lithium and bromine, it would be 8, right? So it would fit in perfectly right here. That's what bonding is.
I understand.
Okay?
I don't know how many electrons. I thought the number.
Does anyone have any questions?
I thought the number.
The letter number AP, they guessed where aluminum was based on just that itself. How did they find
I think I need
that?
a break. I need a break.
What do you mean?
Like 3P was written on the board, right? And then they said where's 3P located, and then they picked the limit.
Like, this is the P section.
The right side of the section?
Yeah.
What's the middle?
This is D.
Oh,
D for dip, remember?
Yeah.
The dips.
I thought the number of electrons were the number to see how many arrows you put.
So 4P would be.
So how does nickel have 2 electrons?
2
It has-
valence
So
electrons.
4P would be GA.
2 on the very outside. And when we do the dots, that's just the valence electrons.
So
So
how
it
many
can-
arrows fit in a?
Arrows is total electrons. So the thing with the dots is just the valence electron. So the highest energy level.
Like
So,
the very most, the outermost.
4P would be GA then? 4P, I think.
4P. 1.
4P1.
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
that's
house
GA.
number 1 right
So
there.
4P3 would be AS.
Arsenic? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Alright, that's all we have today.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?